All right. I think we'll get started here. Let me see here. There's going to be a couple questions that I'm going to have to ask you guys to answer. So, first question, this will be as I'm going through things. So I'm just going to let you know ahead of time that I'm going to be calling on you. So the first question, let's go with Mason. Can you either put it in the chat or take off your microphone? Just let me know that you're there. Are you good for answering the first question? All right, Mason's in. Good. All right. Question number 2. Let's go with Allie. Are you good with question 2? Awesome. And then question 3. Let's go, Lily. Are you good for question 3?
Sure.
Awesome. All right, good. So now when I start presenting, I will not be able to see you guys, and I won't be able to see the chat. So if you have questions, or if you need me to slow down, or you just need to get my attention, you need to unmute yourself and just tell me to slow down or go over something again. Okay, so let's get started here. Let me present. I'm recording good. Good. Here we go. All right. So I'm on the Canvas page. You guys were obviously here to get the link. Underneath here, I am posting the recordings. So if you would happen to miss so we'll be meeting same time on Friday. Thursday for you guys, Thursday. So if you happen to miss that, the recording will be there. But please be there because we are taking attendance. And if you can make up that attendance if you get the assignments in, but it's a whole lot easier on my end if you show up. And I'm also going through the assignments. So it'll be helpful for you. All right. So underneath the PhET build an atom assignment, I'm going to click on that. And you guys can follow along right with me. I'm going to go through the assignment as if I was a student. So you can copy as I go through and ask questions if necessary. And you'll be able to get this done so you won't have anything to do hopefully tomorrow. So I'm going to click on PhET build an atom. And it's going to bring me to the simulation. I'm going to click on the play button there. As it's loading up, we won't really be using this periodic table, but if you want to click on it, you can. The periodic tables are on here, but they are pretty small. So depending on your screen, you might want a bigger one. So you can click on that. And this is the quiz at the end. We'll skip that for right now, and we'll click here to load the assignment. All right, I'll kind of split screen this a little bit so we can see the simulation and the answers that I'm putting in. All right, so first, what's the goal of this? The goal is to build atoms to better understand the properties of subatomic particles, which are the small particles that help build an atom. Yes, Kaden? I'm not quite sure. I need to do class right now. So if you want to do something else right now, you can, and then we'll come back to it later, okay? Okay. All right. Sorry, I have a student here who's going through some school too. All right, so here's the link to the simulation. We're already there. And here's our first problem here. Okay, so this question down here, this is question 1. That was Mason. You don't have to answer it now, but you can preview it now, and then I'll ask you when it's time. So first thing we need to do, I'm going to click on the atom here. I'm going to open up the net charge, open up the mass number, Down here, I'm going to click on stable and unstable. And then I'm just going to use these protons, neutrons, and electrons. These are the subatomic particles that make up an atom. I'm going to build an atom here. And as I'm going through, I have to do a few things. I have to build 3 atoms that are neutral, neutral charge, and are stable. Okay. So one of those should be hydrogen. So I'm going to just start with protons of the first one here. Awesome. That's hydrogen right there. That's what I want. But it doesn't say anything. It's stable, so that's good, but it doesn't say anything about a neutral charge here. So I'm just going to add another proton, see what happens. Totally changes the name. That's helium now. It's unstable, not what we want. So I'm going to go back. I will need a helium atom later, but that's not what I'm working on right now. Okay. Hey, kids, you can, if you want to go work on something else, or you don't even have to do school right now, but I'll help you in about 30 minutes, okay? All right. Okay, so we have it stable here. So let me add some neutrons and see if I can get it to be neutral, because it's stable and it's hydrogen, but I need it to be neutral. Well, that made it unstable. So that's stable and this is stable. So I could have either one. Okay, let me try electrons. All right, here we go. This is neutral now. So now we have hydrogen. It's neutral and it's stable. Okay, so now I'm going to screenshot this. I'm going to hit Control, Shift, and the button above your 6 on your Chromebook, which is a box with 2 lines after it. I think technically it's called like the Show Windows button. I like box with 2 lines better. All right, and then I can use my mouse or your cursor to go over an area that you want to copy. I'm going to copy that to my clipboard. And then I'm going to paste, and it's going to remind me Control V is paste. Okay, so Control V. I paste it right there. Boom, I got my first one. Now, I need to make helium. I remember last time I added a proton, it became helium. So I'll do that again. Okay, it's stable. Awesome, that's what we need, but we also need it to be neutral, and it's not. It's a plus ion, it says, or a positive ion. Right here, it says net charge, and this is where that +1 shows up. I can see I got 2 red pluses and 1 blue minus here. This is blue, so I'm going to put this up here. And you can see I tried to put it in the second ring here, but it forced it into this first ring. And we won't talk about that much today, but we will talk about that later. So that's an important observation. But now I have it stable, I have it neutral, and it is helium. So Control Shift, box with 2 lines button, boom, copy, boom, paste it in with Control V, and I got my helium atom. All right, next I need lithium. Okay, well, I haven't seen lithium yet. So if I add some neutrons, it stays helium, it becomes unstable. It's not what I want. I want it to be stable. The only way I got it to change name is by adding these protons. And I do that again, and I get a lithium. Again, now it's unstable. It's a plus ion. Last time I added, I tried to put it in this ring here, and I kicked it out here. That's how I make it neutral, is with these electrons here. So I got it, but now it's unstable. So let me take some of these neutrons away. That didn't help. If I take a proton away, it's not lithium anymore, so I got to put that back in. Maybe I'll just keep adding neutrons until eventually, oh, there we go, we got it stable. Now I could also add one more and it would still be stable. So either picture, doesn't matter. I'll just do this one because I have it ready. Time to screenshot, boom, copy, and paste it in. All right, Mason, here's your time. I can't see you, so you're gonna have to take yourself off of mute and answer this question. So which subatomic particle, your options are proton, neutron, or electron. Which one changes the type of element of the atom?
Proton.
Yeah, you got it. It is a proton. Proton. Every time I add a proton, totally changes the name. Changes the name, the type of element that it is. All right, good. down to question 2. Allie, all right, here's your question. You can preview that. But now we need to do something a little bit different, okay? We need to build different ions of the same element. So we need a lithium. I've got lithium. That's good. It needs to be neutral. It needs to be a plus ion with a +1 net charge. Here's our net charge here. So that's what we're going to focus on. And a negative ion with a -2 charge. And we're going to take screenshots of those. So I need a neutral one. I already got one right here. You can take another screenshot, or I am going to Control-C, which is copy that. And then I'll put it in here, Control-V, paste it in. Done with that one already. Now I needed a +1. I remember when I was adding these protons before, it was making it a plus ion. So I'm going to do that. And it did make it a plus ion, but it's no longer lithium. So that's not good. So if I add neutrons, that's not changing this. It's staying neutral. The net charge is still 0. Does it say stable? It doesn't say stable, so it could be unstable. It doesn't really matter. So then let me try electrons. Okay, well, when I add these electrons, it becomes a negative ion, and I see more blue minuses here. So that's kind of the opposite direction. I could remove one more electron, and now it becomes a plus ion. So if we look at the net charge here, we have 3 red pluses, 2 blue minuses. And so that is a +1 net charge. It's a positive ion. This is what we're looking for. Time to screenshot. And Control-V or paste it in. And now it still needs to be lithium. So I don't want to change my protons because there's not going to be lithium anymore. But I need it to be a negative ion. I remember with my electrons that I could get it to be a negative ion with a -2 net charge. Here I have -1. I have 1 extra blue minus sign here. And now I have 2 extra. And so that gives us a -2 charge, and it's still a negative ion. So I am going to screenshot it. Copy that and paste it in. Okay. Now, this is Allie's question. Which subatomic particle, your options are proton, neutron, or electron, affects the charge and changes an atom into an ion?
Electron.
Yes, an electron. Okay, now one thing I do want to point out. Technically, a proton will change the charge too, but it also totally changes the name of the atom. So most of the time, we're going to ask you, keep the atom the same and change the charge. How do you do that? You do that with electrons. Technically, you can change the charge with protons, but that totally changes the name of the element. All right, good. Question 3. All right, here's Lily's question. You can preview it, but we'll fill in these 2 blanks here first. So build a stable and unstable atom of the element B. They should both be neutral, and then take a screenshot, okay? So if I look at this periodic table, I know this is small, so if you wanted to open up your other one, you could, all right? But I have an H up here, an HE, Li, Be, and a B. So I want this B, this element B. Now, when I take away a proton or add a proton, you see a different one is highlighted here. So that's Li. If I take one away, it's He. So I need to get this until it's on the B here. So if I keep adding them, okay, it went to Be, it moved to the right there. Here, we made it to B. So this is the type of atom I want, and I don't want to change my protons anymore. Otherwise, it's not going to be element B, which is boron. Okay, I need it to be neutral. All right, I got it to be neutral. It's a neutral atom already with a 0 charge, so that's good. And I just need one that's stable and one that's unstable. This one's unstable right here, so I can take a picture of it. And put it in the unstable section. Stable. Okay, well, I don't want to change the protons. I don't want to change the electrons because that's going to change the charge. So I'm going to take away these neutrons here and see if I can get it to be stable. Well, it just stayed unstable the whole time, so that didn't work. So let me add them. All right, we got it to be stable. Now I could also add one more and keep it stable. What about another one? Oh, now that makes it unstable. So that it kind of has to be like a right zone for the amount of neutrons in order for it to be stable or unstable. So, all right, now I am going to screenshot this. Copy. And paste it in. All right, Lily's turn. All right, which subatomic particle, the proton, neutron, or electron, changes the stability of the atom?
Neutrons.
You got it. The neutron. Now again, technically, these protons can also change the stability, but they change the name of the atom. So again, we're probably going, most of the time, going to ask you, keep this atom the same type and make it stable or unstable. All right, we're not going to ask you to change the name too often. So usually, the best process is to get the type of atom that you need by adding your protons. Then you can use neutrons and electrons to kind of mess around and eventually get the other properties that you need, whether it be a positive or a negative ion or a neutral atom, and whether it's stable or unstable. All right, so now way at the bottom here, there is a symbol tab. I'm going to click on that, and we get, I'll just put some stuff in here so we can see the symbol. Okay, so we get a symbol, a letter, sometimes it's two letters, that abbreviate the name of the element or type of atom. And then we get these three boxes that go around. Okay, this one is called C, this one is called A, and this one is called Z for right now. They're just placeholders. All right, for A, says what does the A box represent? Okay, so what does this number mean? So I'm going to play around with these things a little bit and just see what changes it. So if I add protons, well, it changes a lot of things, but it's definitely changing this. So that's important to know. What about neutrons? Neutrons, it looks like this is the only thing it's changing. Okay, what about electrons? Well, it looks like electrons is changing this number, but it's not affecting this. So this right here is our protons and our neutrons. Now, what is that called? If I go back to my atom tab, we see the same symbol. See this symbol here? We see that symbol here, and that is called the mass number. So this is the mass number. Whoops. The mass number. And how do you find it? Using subatomic particles. Well, this is our protons plus our neutrons. So if I add a proton, whoops, let me go back to the symbol. If I add a proton, that number changes. If I take it away, it goes down one. So if I add one, it goes up one. If I take one away, it goes down one. Same with our neutrons. And so if I add these two things together, I should get the mass number. Okay, what does box Z represent? So that's down here. It's a 4. Let me just start over because I don't necessarily know what 4 means. Okay, so it's got 1. Well, I got 1 of everything here. So let me change protons. Okay, that changed it to 2. That changed it to 3. Let me do this. Okay, that's not affecting it. Let's do these electrons. That's not affecting it either. So the only thing affecting it was the protons. Okay, now it's exactly how many protons I have. I have 3 protons here. I have 3 there. If I add 1 more, that's going to be 4. All right, so what does it represent? Now, they don't give the name of it in this periodic table. I don't think does a really good job of making it obvious. This is called the atomic number. The atomic number, and that is equal to the protons. There's no difference. There's just 2 different names for the same thing. So atomic number and protons, they mean the same thing. So if you have an atomic number of 4, that means you have 4 protons. If you have 4 protons, that means your atomic number is 4. Or they're always going to be the same number. Okay, C. What does C represent? So here I have a +1. If I add, let's try some electrons, that is changing it. Okay, so it can be negative. If I add my neutrons, that's not affecting it. If I add protons, that changes it too, but it also changes the name here, and it has this symbol here. So I'm going to go back here, and I see that same symbol. That is the net charge. And how do we find that? The net charge is mathematically your protons minus your electrons. Some students like to use the math. The other way you can think about it here is I like this picture. Okay, I have a +1 charge because I have one extra proton. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blue minuses. I have 5 red pluses that cancel each other to be a 0. So if I would take this extra one away, a 0 or a neutral atom. But now I have one extra proton that gives it a +1 charge because these protons have a +1 charge. If I take these electrons away, let me put this proton back in here. Whoopsies. Let me make it neutral. Okay, I can add more electrons, and this shows that I have extra electrons, and that makes it a negative charge. I can also take these electrons away to unbalance it and make sure that we have more protons. So however many, I should say, if we have a positive charge of 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, whatever the number is, that's how many more protons we have. Because it's positive, that goes with the proton, and the number tells us how many more. If we have a negative charge, a negative 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, that tells us how many more electrons we have than protons. So if I have -2, that means I have 2 more electrons than protons. Okay, here's a link if you aren't here, but you're here, so we can skip that. Design a positive ion with a charge of +2. Okay, so I have a +1 here. I'm going to make this a +2. Okay, I added a proton that totally changed the name. Let's see, does it need to be a specific type? No. Does it need to be stable or unstable? It doesn't say that either. All it says is it must have a charge of +2. So this satisfies that. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this. Okay, the second one, it has to be neutral. Okay, so I'm going to make this neutral. It was a +2, so I need to add 2 more electrons. So now everything balances. So it's neutral, check. And a mass of 8. Ooh, its mass is 14. Okay, so I need to take some things away. Keep taking things away until eventually it gets down to 8. And you can see if I take away a proton or a neutron, that changes the mass number. Okay, I got it to 8, but now it's not neutral anymore. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 more negatives than positives. So I'm going to take away these 4 extra electrons to get it to neutral. All right, so now let's double check. Neutral atom, check. Mass of 8, check. That's all we need. Screenshot time. Okay, copy, whoopsies, and paste it in. Okay, so we got that. Now, if you go all the way down here, there's a game section. You need to do all 4 games. You can use the periodic table that we provided you, but there's also periodic tables on the game, and I think they're a little bit bigger, so they're a little bit easier to see. If you really want to challenge yourself, you can turn this time on, and so it times you. All right, but you don't need to do that. You need to complete all 4 levels with 4 stars or better. 4 stars or better. You can do it all at once and take 1 screenshot. So if I would play this game and I would come back, it will tell me how many stars I have. And then I could play my 2nd game, 3rd game, 4th game, and it'll record it all. But if you ever refresh the page, it does not keep your progress. So if you play like levels 1 and 2, and then you need to go to another class or you need to do something else, and then you come back like hours later, it might not save your progress. So before you get up from your computer, you can screenshot levels 1 and 2 and put it in here. And then when you come back later, you can just do levels 3 and 4. You don't have to go in order. You can go in any order. Okay, so 4 stars or above, screenshot that and put this in. And then, as a reminder, this PhET quiz. So if I go back to the home page, okay, this quiz here, I think it's about 15 questions, and it's basically a lot of the questions that we went through on the worksheet. It's just to kind of like double check that you're paying attention and you know what's going on. If you want to use your worksheet as you go through it, you absolutely can do that. All right, so this should be almost done. You just need to play those games, and then you have a quiz to complete. So that's all I have for you right now. Let me stop presenting. All right, hopefully that was helpful. I guess you can either type in the chat or just go off of mute and let me know. I want to make sure that I'm not just talking to a wall. Was that helpful? Are you guys good to complete the rest of the activity? Awesome. All right, good. I'm seeing people type things in the chat. Excellent. All right, so this recording I will post later, but then I will don't forget about that quiz. And then Wednesday there's an assignment with a recording that I already made, and then again Thursday I'll see you guys again Thursday at 10 o'clock for our Thursday Friday assignment. So thanks for being here. I'm going to stay on for a little bit. If you guys are good to complete it, you guys can leave. If you have questions, you can just send me an email. So thanks for being here.